Hey everybody, so we are back with another client interview with a lovely friend of ours,
Yes.
Laura.
Hmm.
She has a pretty phenomenal story that I think a lot of moms and just women in general are going to be able to relate to, get a lot of hope from, and hopefully you guys learn some pretty cool stuff because she's got a lot of great things to share,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Absolutely. Hi, Laura. How are you doing today?
I am good today.
That's good.
That's great.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Would you want to introduce yourself? Just share your name and how
Just
long
let
you've
everybody
been.
know who you are.
Yeah.
Just you're not a robot.
Sure. I'm Laura. I'm not a robot, and I'm 33
Which is
years old.
exactly what a robot would actually say.
Anyway, sorry.
What
Sorry. Keep
did
going.
you say? I'm married. I have two children, and I live in a multi-generational, multi-family housing. So
Mm-hmm.
we're 9 people packed like sardines in our house, but I love it. And yeah, and I ended up meeting Elle through I did a homeschooling group, and she had ended up coming, and we met that way, scheduled a blood analysis. That's how I met Justin,
Mm-hmm.
was through a little Zoom call.
That's a
And
totally normal way to meet people.
Oh
Just
yeah.
checking out the
and
blood.
Testing
then
their blood.
Justin
Yeah.
invited you over for Christmas Eve,
Why would you
where we
not?
all got to
I
know
guess
each.
the blood test went well.
Yeah.
Yes, it went well, actually, sort of, but the blood test went well,
Right.
but the whole procedure,
Yeah,
but
the,
I
the, the
was
blood could have used some
Yeah, the
work, but
results, yeah.
the
that's okay. We got that
results
all
got
cleared up.
had me a little,
Gotcha.
but everything went well, and then we had thought about it, and then I finally gave you guys a call to sit down and
Hmm.
meet up to go over everything.
Yeah, and it was a great day. It was an
Hmm.
awesome, awesome day that led to a beautiful and wonderful relationship and a fantastic time together. And like we say this all the time. We're not allowed to pick favorites, but you and Dave and your guys' family is definitely not our not favorite, if that makes sense. Um, so why don't we just kick things off by giving the audience, everybody watching, just a little bit of context. Okay, so we did some blood work. There was some stuff we saw in there that wasn't exactly ideal. I'll let you
Hmm.
go as much or as little into that as you want to. But just like what was life like a little bit before you started the program? Like what were some of the things that were going on that you were feeling? How was your body? How was your mind? Like what was the stuff that was happening that made you want to reach out and want to talk about the academy and getting a plan made and working with us, that sort of thing.
Well, I think what can make a lot of people relate to me in particular is because I didn't necessarily think there was anything wrong
Hmm.
or that I was going through anything. I would always excuse it with something else. So I had a lot of fatigue, really tired, but I'm a mom of two.
Hmm.
I'm homeschooling, so I would excuse a lot of what I was going through. So I was always pretty tired. I know I didn't have a good diet, but I didn't necessarily either understand everything that I was eating or knowing what was in what I was eating. So I had a pretty poor diet. Um, and I knew I was pretty bad at not consuming enough water, but I didn't necessarily understand what it would do for my body. So I was super dehydrated. And because of that, I thought it was normal because you do your own research. And I assumed it was normal to only have a bowel movement once every 2 or 3 days. And apparently, a lot of North America, that's the case. So, because it's that case with everybody, again, I didn't think I necessarily had a problem.
Sure.
Um, and then that's some of the stuff with me. Also, after having children, I had developed psoriasis on my head and dermatitis all around, like my pant line at the top. And some of my friends have had it too. So I've been to doctors to get it looked at. Also for constipation, I had doctors who just prescribed things like Metamucil because it's widely available, but also the answer was, oh, just drink some more prune juice and it'll help you to go to the washroom. So I'd been to 2 doctors for that, and 2 doctors for psoriasis, and a dermatologist for dermatitis. So I went to a dermatologist.
Mm-hmm.
They actually shaved off some of my skin and put it in a vial and wanted to test it to see if they could diagnose me with something and prescribe me lotions and different things. So, but again, my grandmother had psoriasis, my mother had psoriasis, so you attribute it to something that it's hereditary.
Sure. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's just
Yeah.
some,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, how
I
long was
didn't,
all that stuff going on for?
so the constipation would be since I was in high school. So I'd say it would be safe to say over 17 years, at least. It could have been longer, but from what I can remember, 17 years.
Wow.
So it's safe to say it could have been my entire childhood.
Yeah. Holy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, those things by themselves, the constipation, the skin, the fatigue, that kind of stuff, like that's a problem. But how was that like affecting your life? Like what was that doing to you, to your schedule, to your life at home, your life professionally, all that sort of stuff? Like how was it changing things?
So before having kids, I had a sit-down job. And then after dealing with the mental stress of a sit-down job, dealing with customs and different things, which can bring on stress, I would get home and I just wouldn't want to do anything because I'd be tired. And I didn't do anything physical all day, and I just wouldn't want to do anything. And I would attribute it to laziness and stuff, but I'm tired and I don't even know what I'm tired from. Then after having kids, my husband and I decided I'd be a stay-at-home mom, and I would like to homeschool. So after having kids, it's a little more demanding and you are running around, but a whole new type of fatigue set in. Because after having kids, my bowel movements got extremely messed up. And so did my lady cycle, got completely messed up for years after, for 6 years, completely messed up. And I was just always tired, never wanted going for a hike with kids that are 7, 6. Oh, I was way too tired to do that. I relied on coffee. I drank 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day because you'd hit that 2 o'clock snooze. You need to rev yourself up and get going. And so then because you're tired and you just I didn't know I was always bloated in my stomach. I just assumed I had the mommy pouch, not knowing necessarily what it was, and just always tired, and you don't want to do anything physical.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure. How would you describe your experience going through our program?
Well, to go through the program, at the beginning, I read through all of the steps, and it looked like a lot on paper, but then once I began implementing it, starting with water, and just before starting with the program, I decided I was going to quit coffee, and I replaced it all with water from my water machine.
Yep.
And from the ionizer, and I got up to about 4 liters a day. So when I read through it and it said, oh, for example, 4 liters a day, it didn't seem so mind-blowing because I didn't realize how thirsty I had been.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I was very dehydrated. But then seeing the other steps and implementing them, it was simple to implement those steps. It took a while to figure out scheduling because, during it all, I have the kids pulling on me or trying to rearrange my schedule, right? It was more just that. But because it was so simple, I could be consistent with it. So
Cool.
it was simple enough to be consistent with. And what really blessed me is that because everybody in my household wanted to get on the healthy wagon, there was support from everybody.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
that also helped. And then
In a
joining the
household of
calls.
9, I can imagine
Yeah.
that's just a little bit important.
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe not everybody wants to give up everything right away, or not give up, but just change what
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
eating, like changing the type of desserts. It's like we still have desserts, but we've changed them. And I noticed that through going through some of the dietary changes that I've made, um, there's different flavors I never really could sense in a food that I can pick up now.
Yeah.
And things taste like, for example, I didn't want to be rude. This was just a month ago, and it was somebody's birthday, and the lady, she doesn't have a lot of money, and she prepared this dessert, and you eat a piece to be polite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a piece, and I'm like, whoa, sugar bomb, just whoa. But I've been
Sure.
sweetening things with substitutes, and to
Hmm.
me, those were sweet, and I couldn't even imagine that. And I was eating that all the time.
Hmm.
And now it's like, whoa, there was less flavor in that dessert than there was in the homemade stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So even just like your taste buds change. And but everything being simple and consistent really, really helped me. And then joining the calls, because we signed on with you guys, and then joining on the calls and getting the knowledge also helps you to apply it to what you're doing.
Right.
Gives you the understanding of why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's such an important part.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
what we aim for.
yeah, I mean, you can tell somebody, hey, don't eat potato chips. Don't
Those
eat,
are bad.
but then there's going to come a time where they're like, well, I kind of want to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And if they don't
What
know,
are you
if they
gonna?
don't-
How are you gonna stop me?
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna do?
If they don't know why they shouldn't do it
Yeah.
or why it's a bad idea, then like there's nothing holding them accountable, nothing keeping them, thinking clearly, all that kind of stuff. So that's, and you mentioned that, there was so many, you probably mentioned maybe 5 or 6 times so far since we started the interview. It was like, I didn't understand, I didn't realize, I didn't know, like that kind of stuff. And it just, to me, it sounds like the education has been such a massive part
Yeah.
of what, like, just understanding what it's supposed to be and then how to do it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Because, for example, everybody knows, the fast food chain isn't good for you, yet it's so convenient and people just
Sure.
stop there. We sure did. You're homeschooling. What are you going to do with your kids? They're a little bit bored today and it's raining. Let's go. You can play in the playroom or you could do something, right? But you don't, it's not good for you, but you don't know what it's doing on the inside. You don't
Yeah.
know
Right.
what is happening. Or you know that spinach is good for you, but you don't know what it's actually doing inside of your body. And I don't know anything. I knew nothing about health. When I signed on, I was like, I know nothing. I know that this food is bad, this food is good, but I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know what it does. I knew nothing. So getting the knowledge, and I feel like I only still know this much, and there's so much room to grow. But now everybody in my family is calling me over, hey, Laura, if I add this in this meal, what would this do? And I'm like, would it be okay if I cooked it in this instead of this? And I'm thinking like, and I feel like I still, compared to some people, I feel like I still have so much to go. But to them, it's get Laura over here, So I definitely notice an improvement, or just going to the store and reading labels, starting to understand more.
That's
I might not
awesome.
understand all the big words on the back, but I know,
Yeah.
that's a pretty big word. I don't know if I want that in my body. I don't
Yeah,
really know what it is.
absolutely. There's a lot of consequences that are the result of a lack of knowledge, and
Totally.
a lot of people are suffering from it just from that. And if they were taught more about their life and about their health and stuff, then they would be able to make better decisions and overall have a better life.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, educated decisions, keyword educated.
Yeah.
If you don't know all of your options
Yeah.
and you don't know how things are going to play out, then it's really tough to make the right call.
Yeah. If you don't know what you're consenting to, then how can you truly consent?
Yeah, or the saying, what you don't know doesn't kill you or won't kill you, but well,
Are you sure about that? Like,
well,
I don't know about that one. Like,
would you like to see my blood results? Or my blood analysis? But you don't
sure.
know.
For sure. Gotcha. Okay. Well, so we covered the education part. We covered a lot of the stuff just with the community, the calls, the plan being simple, that sort of thing. What would you say if you had to pick like one or two things, what would you consider to be some of the biggest factors in what made this so successful for you? Like in what helped you do all this stuff so quick? And we haven't even really gotten into what you've accomplished yet, which we will, but just from your perspective, what has been the stuff that made this work like it has?
Um, okay, so well, I'll go back to the first one, like the fact that you guys kept it very simple for me, because I came into it and I said you need to use layman terms because I don't know half of these medical industry or these technically correct terms.
Right.
I'm like, I need simple, you know? And you guys did keep it very simple, or you would explain something in a different way. And so I could remain consistent with it. But a lot of that happened on our personal calls.
Right. Right.
Because on your program, you have the 3 levels. I have joined as the level 3. And those personal one-on-one calls where we could zone in and tackle each thing that I was either struggling with, or if I had questions about, or I noticed something might have changed, those calls really, really helped.
Awesome.
Those really helped me. And I really enjoy reading when in the Revitalized Academy. Sometimes you just make random posts, and they're informative texts. So you did one on bowel transit time. That was the first one I had read before you guys had redesigned your new website, and the Academy, and I loved it because even though there was some large words that I didn't necessarily know, I like the medical terms for things, you went on to explain it in the way that everybody could relate or understand to. Whether you were constipated or not, you explained it so well that even people that might not think they're constipated, for example, might be like, oh, I don't necessarily have proper bowel movements. That doesn't, and I remember that post, but all those write-ups, Elle does a lot of them too. So I'm always reading through them when I get to them because they stay there, right? So you can always reflect back to them. Those are very big. Those I really, really enjoyed, and I find I can always reflect back to them.
Cool.
And the other thing is when I joined the calls weekly with the group, what I enjoy about them is sometimes there's no topic. It's what do you want to discuss, and it's open to everyone. Or sometimes you come with a set plan. But other people ask questions I might not think of, but they do apply to me, but I just didn't think of it. So hearing other people asking those questions gives you more knowledge because you guys will answer them or share links afterwards to where you can find the research. It helps because they're thinking of things you might not think of.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we talk about it all the time, just the community, having people around you that can influence how you think in a positive way, keep you encouraged, keep you looking at stuff from different angles that we wouldn't have figured out on our own.
Yeah.
Like, it's so important.
That's
and
huge.
We need that. I mean, like, look, people are born into families. Like, from birth till death, you need other people around you. And if you have the right people around you, it's total game changer. It's huge.
Absolutely. Okay. So what would you say was something about being in the Revitalized Academy that you weren't expecting?
Justin's jokes.
Yeah, right?
Actually being good? Yeah. That's what I thought you said.
That I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting how quickly I would get results. I, on other things, not necessarily for the main reason that I signed on. It was all the added things I didn't even notice that took place. Even simple things that weren't necessarily wrong or bad. I remember I went for a haircut and I got them to take 2 inches off, and then I felt like 6 months later, my hair had grown 3 inches.
Yeah.
My hair has been so much healthier. I didn't sign on because I had unhealthy hair.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
my nails are growing and they're stronger and they're growing faster and a lot healthier because I used to get those little nicks in them. I called them nicks, but I don't really know what they were.
Right.
You know, and I had shared it's a result, right? But I had sprained my ankle 9.5 years ago, really bad. The doctors were surprised that it wasn't fractured or broken because it looked like you took a grapefruit and put it on the side of my ankle. That's how big it was.
Yeah, I remember
And
that. That sucks.
it went that big within 5 minutes of spraining it, and the pain was so bad. I would have preferred giving birth, like the actual giving birth again to that, because giving birth, it's a slow progress of pain.
Yeah.
That was instant 0 to 100, and I vomited from the pain, and I felt like I was passing out, and it was terrible. And I had always struggled in the cold with that ankle ever since. Kicking a soccer ball with my kids would hurt. And just sometimes you just take a weird step and you get the sharp amount of pain. And this is 9.5 years later. And I did physio to help regain proper mobility. And that pain, I didn't go looking for it. I didn't sign on because of it. But I don't have any of that anymore.
That's so cool.
That's very
So
cool.
how quickly I got results.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
just goes back to what we're always talking about. Like when it comes to the body, healing comes from the inside out.
Yes.
It's not the outside in. If the insides are not healthy, then the outsides won't be either. You know, and even something like pain. And you talked about you did physio, right? But the body on the inside didn't have the stuff, the conditions, the raw material, the nutrition, the hydration, the sleep, all these things that we worked on with you, the hormones being in good balance, like all that stuff that needed to be there for the body to heal the nerves, heal the connective tissue, heal the bone, heal everything that got damaged in the sprain. And you can do all the stretches that you want to stimulate healing. But if the healing itself isn't there on the inside, then it's just, you know, people have lingering injuries. I mean, you just said 9 years. Like that's wild, right?
That's pretty wild.
That's crazy. Okay, so why don't we just do a little bit of a deep dive into what actually has happened and changed for you. So you joined the program, we sat down, we had this meeting, and you had all these problems with the fatigue and the constipation and just all this stuff that you didn't even realize was a problem because you kind of gotten used to it. So it happened so long. You know, like I remember there was this one time where you were telling us how like once we finally started to get your gut working a little bit better, you're like, I remember what it feels like to have the need to go to the bathroom normally all the time. Like I didn't even realize I forgot what that was like because it was just so off for so long, that sort of stuff. So would you mind just kind of sharing with the audience, like what has your progress been so far? Where have things gone from the start to where they're at now? With your body, with your mind, with the rest of your family. I know everybody's been kind of piggybacking off of you and doing as much as they can to follow in your footsteps, that sort of thing. And just to kind of give people the, you know,
bird's eye view of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I'm like, I'll just start with the main reason of signing on, right? So I signed on because after my live blood analysis, we could see my cells had been mutated. Is that the word? Mutated?
Yep.
Because they passed through the colon and turned out to be seriously mutated. And it's because I was very dehydrated and constipated.
Right.
So initially signing up for that and all the other things that showed in the blood, I had uric acid. I think that's how it's pronounced, right?
Uric acid. Yep.
Right. Plaque. There was tiny little parasites that you could see. I had this big, I remember when I seen it, I didn't know what I was looking at, but I went, that's not supposed to be there. But this big fuzzy purple thing, which I think was like a fungus of some sort in my blood. And I remember watching my mom get her blood done and then I get mine and I'm like, ooh, that's not supposed to be there. Ooh, you know, looked like a cartoon almost, but, so when I had signed on, what I've noticed, it started slowly implementing for the constipation, just different things, you know, getting my body working properly, you know, proper hydration is key and working to get all that going. And it was a slow progress because 17 plus years of backlog.
Right.
Like, how many bowel movements I should have had. I think we did the math one day and it was like I was behind 17,000
Yeah.
A
bowel
lot.
movements.
It's crazy.
So that I'm still alive, with all that,
Yep, yep, yep.
But so it was slow, but it became once a day. So from once every 2 or 3 days, it went to once a day. And just in that, stopping there, my mommy pooch, the puffy belly that I had, that I
Right.
just attributed to having babies, it was not as puffy. It was, my stomach was getting flatter. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then it went up to one or two every, it was like 3 in 2 days, so some days I'd have 2, some days I've had 1, and it's like, oh my goodness, like I don't feel bloated, I just feel normal.
Right.
And then something would happen. I would eat something, or I went away and I didn't have a good source of water, and I could feel I was so thirsty. And I was gone for 3 days, and I didn't go to the washroom for 2 days.
Right.
And something I used to get all the time was hemorrhoids after having kids. After having my son, who was this massive baby, from pushing so much, naturally women will get hemorrhoids, right? So
Sure.
I did. And ever since then, I would get 3 a year, roughly 3 a year. And so after going away on my little holiday, coming back, and I had a hemorrhoid, and I'm like, man, this sucks. And normally I would struggle with it for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, try all the lotions they give you. So I said, I'm going to give them a call. So I gave you guys a call, and you coached me through that. You walked me through it, and it went away in a drastic size difference, drastic everything. Like the healing, like after 3 days, huge difference. Like from, the size of an olive to the size of a tiny little pea, like just drastic difference within 3 days. And I'm going, man, normally I'm weeks struggling with this thing, right? And I've never had one since.
Take that, hemorrhoid.
Right? So I should technically be on my 3rd now this year, but I've only had 1. And that was like right at the beginning of all of the process, right?
Right, right.
And I'm like, I'm come January, I'm a full year. So, and once I hit February, that hemorrhoid's kicked out. It's been a full year without it, right?
Yep, exactly, exactly.
So that's great. And so there was progress, but then I remember after getting constipated from that holiday, my stomach felt bloated. And I'm thinking, oh, I lived all this time with this bloat, thinking that's normal, not realizing what it was like to live without it. And that was like a sign of, oh yeah, I can see the work that I'm putting in and the progress and the results just from that.
Awesome.
And so now I'm still improving, right? I'm up to 2 a day, and it's just getting better all of the time.
Yep, for sure. That's
so
awesome.
It's beautiful.
I still have progress to make, but it's 17 years plus, and I'm not even a full year in, and I'm already doing 4 or 5 times more than I was, so yes.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
almost maybe more importantly, how specifically with the gut, like there's more we can go over, but specifically with the gut, how has that changed how you feel in your body and how you think about yourself and just life in general?
So, I noticed I have more energy. I have a lot more energy. I don't have that 2 o'clock slump that I used to get. I have energy all day long. In fact, because everything that happened with my ankle got better, we nicknamed it ReVitalized Ankle.
Yes. Right ankle.
That's great.
I joined a family karate class with my kids. And I can throw kicks, and it's at night. So, you just do all your stuff all through the day, and I have energy to go to this, and we do, like, it's an hour and something. And I still have energy to go to the the one that's just for adults afterwards. And I can kick, no problem. Doesn't hurt my ankle at all. And I have energy throughout the day. I don't feel, no feeling of bloat. And, part of that, having the energy is we had begun implementing a small exercise, just small, something I could sustain, right?
Yep.
5 or 10 minutes a day, just start small.
Yep.
And it helped that when the teacher's like, okay, everybody get down and do 10 push-ups. I remember doing 1-man push-up. I was there, I didn't even know if I could make it all the way down and then back up, but joining the class, I went, I did that with ease.
Yeah.
10, and not that it was, I don't mean with ease in that regard, but I would never have been able to complete that, yet alone do 2. Now I can do 10, like full push-ups. And the last one might be like where I'm still like, okay, I got to get up, but I'm watching some of the girls that are there that are half my age and they're struggling with 2 push-ups. and it's sad because they would just, it's all of this would have been me. I would have just been there, the exact same shoes when I was 15, right?
Yeah.
15 or 16. So I have all that energy. I don't have that bloat. And I just feel more like I've got more spunk.
That's awesome.
I'm just more awake, and I noticed more attentive. Because before, somebody would say something and just, because you're tired, so you just brain fog. And I don't have as much brain fog.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
And then what about some of the changes that you've seen in your family members too? Because they followed some of your steps a bit, right?
Yes. So my dad would be the biggest one. He had, Justin said, hey, if you're just skeptical, make a list and just kind of follow along with what she's doing. You'll see. So he made a list of 9 things. I think it was 9 things. And within 2 months, 8 of the things are completely scratched off his list, taken care of. Those consist of, they told him he fell really hard one day fishing and bruised his lung, and they believe he cracked his sternum. And for 4 years, every time he'd cough or sneeze, just crazy shearing pain. That was taken care of within the first week. Gone. Never had that come back. And he sneezed and given little coughs lots, so it's not bad.
In that time frame, okay.
That's awesome.
Him and myself, poor circulation, so our hands and our feet would always be freezing cold, and it could be summertime, just really poor circulation. And to the point that at night, you take your feet and put them on your spouse's back, and then they scream to high heavens. That I can't do that anymore, man.
Oh yeah, sorry, not sorry.
I bet Dave's kind of a little bit happy about that one.
But also not that my dad did that to my mom, but just the cold hands, you go rub somebody's shoulder and they're like Iceman touching you.
Yeah.
So there was circulation. He had, he was on a cholesterol pill. He's off his cholesterol pill. And he had some more things, but I wanted to jump to my daughter. So my daughter, a year and a half ago, got a cold sore. Just, grandma has one, gives you a little kiss, and somehow she gets this cold sore. And I didn't know what it was because it was in her nose a bit. And I didn't know what it was. And then kids are just, hands go everywhere. So she touched her bum somehow. And it was on her bum cheek, this little round patch. And I don't know what it is. It looked like a dry patch, a little red, maybe a bug bite. It's summer, we're swimming, so I'm trying to do what I can based on, what I think it is. Lotion it if it's a dry patch, do what I can. And it grew to triple in size, and it spread to her whole cheek here and in her nose. So when we got back from holidays, I went to go see the doctor, and it's a cold sore, and it's everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So they give antibiotics or whatever they prescribed for it. And eventually it left. But since then, every 2 months, she would break out in these cold sores. Now, they never got to that size, but she'd always get them now, here or here or here. She would always get them. And I'm like, man, like, you don't want a kid to go through that their entire life, getting cold sores like at every turn of a corner.
For sure.
That sucked.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't looking for this result, but once we started implementing some of the changes, and my kids did them as well, she didn't have a cold sore from when I signed on until May, when swimming season started. She broke out in one. Now, a cold sore for her, it would take about 2 weeks to go away, right? You know, you treat it, you do whatever you can naturally,
Try to get
you know,
it
so you
from
don't
the
have to
stop
run to the
scabbing
doctor.
it and all that kind of stuff.
You know, so you don't want to run to the doctor, so you kind of just use whatever you kind of got. So, but I gave you guys a call, and we talked about it in a group one day, and doing the steps, applying the steps that you guys helped lay out, 3 days, and they're gone.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay. And everybody's like, well, that's impossible. And I'm like, well, because my daughter kept swimming in pools, and you know, you go to like a family fun park, she got a cold sore. And I'm like, but I know what to do.
Yeah.
So I know I might not be able to protect them from every single little thing right now, but I know what to do. So 3 days, that thing's nailed in the bud again.
Yeah.
And she hasn't had one since. She hasn't had one since. So we're
that's just
the end
that's
of
so
November.
cool.
Mm-hmm. And then if I moved on to my son, he would get these just dry patches. I would always assume like, oh, well, it's that hereditary thing. He has these dry patches on his legs and on the back of his arms and sometimes on his back. Little round. It's not very discolored. It's just a rough, dry skin patch. And I said, you know, I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm just going to text it to Al. And then again, I just applied some of the things. We had all the change and they just went away and they haven't been back. But he always had dry patches for 4 years. They're always there and they're small. Sometimes that one will disappear and another one is somewhere else, but there's always 2 or 3 at any given time somewhere on his body. And they look like these rings of just dry patches and gone. He hasn't had one since like April, I think it was that I messaged. So not one.
That's freaking awesome.
Very cool.
That's super cool. Speaking of skin issues, I don't know if you want to mention it or not. If you don't, we can just cut this out. But do you mind sharing Amanda's story on that one day where we had like the 3 hours of crisis?
Oh yeah, that was an experience.
The 3 hour long skin crisis of 24.
Aw, shouldn't she? Aw, and she also it was the situation where she was debating if she should. She was unsure if a natural method would work too with herself. Yeah.
This was still kind of early on.
It was. I think it was in end of February or March. I might have been 1 month with you guys, not even. But she went with her son to the hospital for something he had. And when she came back, you know, she got back, it was midnight. So she slept in. The next day, we're sitting down, we're having lunch. And she just scratched like this. That was it. And then she's like, oh, that's itchy. So she puts her hand in and she feels all these little bumps. It's kind of near her armpit. She goes to the bathroom and she looks at it and she goes, oh, I have a rash there. That's weird. And she's like, it's burning itchy. And she comes and sits back down and then she goes, oh my goodness, now over here, a little bit lower, like on the bra line's itchy. And she goes, so within 5 minutes, it went from a little patch right here to her whole bra line in her other armpit, traveling up her neck, traveling down her belly. And she goes, oh my gosh, this thing is traveling with everything every spot that I touch because it's so itchy.
And it was wild because you started to call us once you guys noticed it got bigger. And so like we were getting photos in real time as it was traveling across her body. It was nuts.
Yeah. So and it was in minutes that this thing is traveling at this speed. And so I told you guys where she had been, and you're like, well, it's possible that she got whatever it was there, right? So you guys laid out the steps to do, and I said, okay, listen, like, what do you want to do? She's like, well, I don't know. Like, the steps sounded simple, and they
Right.
were simple, and so you doubt if they're going to work
Yeah.
Sure.
because it's simple.
It's too good
And
to be
it
true.
seems-
It just couldn't work.
It just couldn't work, and it just can't be that simple, you know? But she's like, I don't want to go to the hospital. Like, this, I don't want to. And because as I'm getting educated, she's also getting educated, and she's looking up whatever I'm saying, and then she's like, it is true, you know, so we don't want to do that.
Right.
And so she did it, and she applied it to a spot first. And she goes, oh my gosh, within 30 minutes, it's gone from there, but it's traveling. So it was going down her belly. So she did it on that spot. She applied what you said, and then it started traveling down her leg. And when I sent the pictures to Elle, and we would call and talk about the pictures, she's like it's trying to run away.
Yes.
It's escaping that area that you just treated. And so it ended up going throughout her whole body, but everywhere we would do an application, and it would run away, and it would never return to that spot. And now thinking about it, we should have just dunked her in a bath, right?
I know. I was just thinking that
Full of
too.
stuff, right? Like just dunk her in the stuff, you know? So it started traveling towards the night. The last place it was traveling was her lips, and she could feel her tongue.
Oof.
And so we treated her mouth too. And within minutes, it just not deflated to like nothing.
Fizzled out.
Regular tongue thickness.
Diminished.
To regular tongue size.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But it's like the lip was really big, and she's like, oh my gosh, like this can't go. Like imagine your eyes, like everything, right? So it freaked her out. But now she tells everybody about this story. She's like, you don't understand. This was the craziest. And my sister's had shingles before. She's had H1N1 before, hogweed, like different things. She goes, the itchiness from this was burning, itchy sensation everywhere. And she's like, and it was just so simple to deal with it. Like beyond simple. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Well, it's just,
Yeah.
and again, because like all that we do is we're just trying to teach people how to get their body to work.
Yeah, supporting the body and what it's already trying to do. Your
Exactly.
body's already trying to do so much for you.
Yep.
Heal you, rejuvenate you, give you energy, do all these wonderful things. But it's like if it doesn't have what it needs, then it can't do it.
Totally.
And then the body gets blamed and called broken all day long when that's not what's going on.
Yeah.
It can do it, but it just needs some
I mean,
support.
her immune system was fighting off that infection long before it ever manifested in her skin. But it's just once we support the body to work like it's supposed to, and we give it the stuff that it needs to actually do that job, you can have the most expensive car in the world, but if you never put gas in the tank, it's not going nowhere. And that's really all that it is. So it's like the process is incredibly simple, but the mechanisms that the body has on the inside are like unbelievably
the body
advanced.
is the complex part.
You know,
it handles all the complexities.
Exactly. So we just have to do our part, and then the body does everything else.
Exactly.
You know? And it's that's so cool. It's such a wild story.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear about that often, but when you hear those kinds of things, and then if anybody else has gone through that kind of thing, then they're like, holy crap, it could have been like that for me. That's wild, you know? And it's just supporting the body. That's it.
Yeah. And so she's like, I have no doubt in my mind, you know, if there's like that there's a natural way to deal with pretty much every situation.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
she's
awesome.
like, there's no doubt.
That's super cool. That's super cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay, what about Dave or your mom? Anybody else you want to mention from the house? I mean, line 9 people, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But is there
yeah.
any big highlights you want to make sure we cover so nobody feels
Well,
left out?
my brother-in-law noticed, and he just, noticed that he can't drink any other water now.
Yeah.
He,
Honestly.
And it's
he
hilarious because
Yeah.
he was the biggest skeptic in the
he
house.
was so skeptical.
He was like,
and
ionized water, that's not real. I don't know. And now,
okay, he doesn't sound like that.
no, he
but
doesn't
anyways,
sound like that. But yeah,
keep going.
he's probably gonna attack me next time
No,
I see
yeah.
him. But that's okay.
yeah, but he you know, he'll go up to the native reserve because that's where his mom lives, and drink the water there, and he gets home and he's like, oh, finally some real water, you know. And you're on a well and it's good water. We're on a
Yeah.
well too, and
Sure.
it's very good water when we do the little tests, you know. It's
Yep.
amazing pH
Yep.
when you compare it to the city and stuff, but it's not comparable.
Yeah. It's
And
night and day.
yeah, so for him that was a big one. Just that alone, you know. Also making the steps. He didn't necessarily want to do all the jump into health as much as we wanted to, like for the work, because you enjoy certain things you don't want to give up. But he pretty much gave up drinking pop, which I didn't know if I'd ever see my household not drink pop.
Nice.
And
That's
nobody
so
in our
badass.
house, we don't buy pop, anything, nothing carbonated, nothing, just water and matcha.
Nice.
Gotta have
Beautiful.
matcha.
Beautiful. Awesome.
And my nephew also struggled a lot with constipation since he was a baby. I remember my sister changing his diapers, and I'm like, okay, because then they're a year apart, the two kids, her son and my son. And my son, it was like water all the time from breast milk. You know, it's like water, and he would always, it was just little. His poops, he was just more constipated, and you could see it. And so then he gets a little older, and then my son, you know, not constipated, and you can just see the difference. But him, because it's caught so much earlier than me, you know, 33 starting the journey,
Yeah, no kidding.
he started when he was 8. It's already, like, he goes to the bathroom way better, just already.
Awesome.
And he, to the point that he noticed, he goes, wow, mommy, I do notice I go to the bathroom better.
That's cool.
Very
Or that
cool.
birthday party that we went to when he had sugar and he went through, you know, because we don't, you know, he had a piece of cake, you know, like that
Yeah.
kind. We make homemade cakes and stuff, but we'll alternate things, right? Just simple. Same recipe, just alternate certain ingredients.
Yeah.
Just change them up. We still have cake.
Use real ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. Like that actually comes from the earth, not from a laboratory.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's pretty simple.
you know,
Like we talked about,
And
just
we just-
simple.
We're gonna make food out of food.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that checks out. Yeah.
But he noticed the
sorry, please keep going.
hyperactiveness. He noticed how hyper he's like, oh my goodness, the sugar rush. Well, before our kids would eat this stuff all the time, and this
To
sugar
be
rush
8
nonsense.
and have a self-realized
Oh,
sugar
yeah,
rush.
he's smart.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your
all
kids are
3
brilliant.
kids. My
Yeah,
daughter,
all 3 kids, yeah.
oh yeah, my daughter went with somebody, and they treated her, and I said, you know, like, I can't. There's some things that are out of your control, right? Like, so they, you know, they buy a slush puppy or this or that for your kid, and you're like, thank you, because you're doing it because you want them to have a good time. You don't necessarily know what you just gave my child. Thank God it's not all the time, right? But my daughter has a splitting headache for that whole night. And she goes, the only thing I had different, and she's 6, the only thing I had different was I had a slushie, and I have a big headache today, Mommy.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's probably that, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so she's like, I'm going to go and get a nice pinch of salt and drink lots of water.
Oh,
And
man.
she
Oh
just takes
man,
that
Rachel's
salt
like
like a champ.
a badass.
She's so cool.
Holy, that's great.
That's awesome. So through all the changes that you've seen happen in your body and your family, the knowledge you have now, all these things, like, would you change, would you say that you feel like maybe more like confident or more capable, like feelings like towards yourself kind of thing, like you feel better, like in general, like mentally wise, just because of everything that you've seen happen?
Definitely. I was always a pretty grounded person, and I'm a very stable person, so I do have these emotional spikes, you know, but I found my mental clarity over situations, you know, even that much more, like it just enhanced that. because there's not too many situations that I won't tackle with prayer first before I jump into a situation, right? Or have to deal with it. You start
Praise
with
God,
prayer
baby.
and then you work, you know? But I noticed, well, I had already mentioned like for energy and stuff, but oh no, I noticed, I'm trying to word this right.
Okay.
I have become more stable. Even, which my family, if they watch this video, are going to laugh because I am a pretty stable person, but even more so that if I get that information that might seem a bit shaky, so to speak. So if somebody was like, well, this is actually good for you because of this. Somebody wanted to argue with me about oats being bad for you, for example.
Yeah.
Because there's so much on the internet that oats aren't good for you, and then so many over here that oats are. I'm less likely to take anybody at their word, even if they provide the research, because that's research from somebody's perspective and applied in a specific way.
Sure.
And I'm even just more immovable because I've also seen the results.
Yeah.
And I've heard the results from all the testimonials. So it's really helped to even more cement in everything that I've been doing.
Awesome. Awesome.
That you guys have taught
Right.
or showed us or made a joke about.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Jokes can be educational too.
Totally. But that stuff, like, it only is that way, not just because you heard it or because we taught it or because we said it in a fancy way or we, we found a way to explain it simply. It's because like you listened, you applied it, and then you saw the proof.
Yeah.
That it was real. Because your life changed, your body got better, your mind got clearer, that sort of stuff. And to me, that's like the bread and butter, because anybody can say anything, but until we see it and we feel it and we experience it, that's when it becomes real.
For sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. What about Dave or your mom? Anything you want to mention about them?
Well, my mom, we never thought she'd give up chips.
Yeah.
She'd eat a bowl of chips a night.
Yeah.
And you always go for, oh, well, it's a reduced fat chip or something,
Yeah.
So we nicknamed her Robin Chip. That was her middle name. Well, she has just jumped on because of how simple it was. She had just jumped on, and what she noticed was she loved chocolate, she loved sweets, she loved her chips. Those are things she loved. And the first thing she noticed, and it's probably the most amazing, she doesn't crave anything sweet like sugar, like chocolate, any kind of sweet. And that went away within the first 4 or 5 days. She stopped craving sweets.
If you remember, when we first started, your mother had posed a challenge to us about those said chips that she loved so much. And I believe, confirm if we're incorrect, Laura, but I believe that bet was one lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels.
Well, she still will occasionally have, the cassava flour, nacho chips, different things, But
we're not talking about Lay's
goodness.
or Pringles
Yeah.
or Doritos.
None of that.
Fantastic.
None of that. That's gone. None of that.
Awesome.
And now if we'll buy just pure 100% chocolate, and we'll make our own little nuts and seeds mix with 100% just pure cacao with the, what is it called? Cacao butter? Is that what it is? So it's bitter.
Yeah.
So it's bitter, but we mix it in with raisins and stuff, and it's a nuts and seeds mix, and it makes it sweet. And my kids will eat that.
Nice.
And you don't even crave something that was loaded 50% sugar, milk, chocolate, whatever. You don't even. I haven't had that stuff in like a year.
That's awesome. And do you miss it?
No.
Okay, cool.
Because I have the other stuff that you're enjoying, so you don't miss something that you're enjoying something else. I don't miss that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, well, I guess we saved the best for last.
Yeah.
What about Dave? Because he's obviously seen some awesome improvements, just with his own gut, his digestion, his energy, his eating habits,
Yeah.
a ton of stuff like that. Is there anything that you want to mention? Because I know that with Dave's personality, if we don't give him some credit and some time to shine, then we're all going to hear about it later.
My brother.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm totally kidding.
No, obviously he was very, very busy and everything like this.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some things, even with such a hectic schedule like himself,
sure.
like he was still able to apply, and I think that can be encouraging for a lot of people with such a busy schedule.
If he can make changes and see improvement, being home 2 days out of the week, like anybody's schedule can manage this, right?
Yeah, so he would have been the one that would have had the hardest time to make changes because he's gone.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find things that you can pack that's not fresh out of a can or a microwave dinner. It's because you get this little tiny fridge to put your stuff for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And your stuff's got to sit in your truck while you go work construction, right? But he started with just one tiny little thing, one little change compared to another, and he upped his water first. And just that alone, he noticed it gives you a little more energy throughout the day, because he started with a much smaller amount than I was drinking.
Sure.
But he wasn't drinking any. He would just have 4 or 5 coffees and maybe a liter a day. Maybe. Like he's getting maybe 2 glasses,
Yeah.
And so because he's upped his water, his coffee intake went down. He stopped his drinking pop and energy drinks. And
awesome.
just those changes alone, he noticed a huge difference. And then, now that all that's out of the picture, then he starts, because we're cooking better, he's eating better.
Yeah.
So starting eating better meals, he's noticed his taste buds have also changed. Just like all of ours. And you're not craving the same thing. So my husband also used to eat tons of chips. He would eat a bag of cashews, and like a big Costco bag of cashews in 4 days, and just the snacking at night.
Nuts.
Oh yeah. And he used to drink about 1 liter of milk a day to himself, just 1% partly skimmed. And I never thought I would see him quit milk, because his entire family just drinks milk. It's hereditary. It's in your blood.
Sure.
But he decided to make a change to the homemade oat milk. And he was enjoying it a lot. And I would just sweeten it with honey or dates, and he was enjoying it a lot. But still drinking 1 liter a day, right? So he slowly took it down to he drinks a small amount of milk now. But he's noticed he's lost some of I call it the dad bod, where they have the belly.
Sure.
His eating isn't perfect, and he'll admit it. He's like, before work in the morning, I can't eat breakfast. I just can't. It's really hard for him. But he implemented eating lunch.
Right.
Because he's eating a lunch and he's eating a dinner, he doesn't snack at night anymore. So this late night snacking, which isn't good for your body.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially with the snacks available to you at the the massive selection at your local hotel.
Right? Or the gas station across the street, like those are your two. And so he has noticed that he doesn't really crave snacking anymore. Like, he doesn't crave to snack. He's not hungry. When he's home, he might have a little, because we eat dinner a little bit earlier and we'll stay up later because it's our only time we get to see each other.
Sure.
So he might have a small, but he's opting for something like fruit or nuts and seeds or something, So he's noticed this big change in him too, but he feels better from it. He has a really physical job. So I know that he still gets very tired. It's super demanding. He did going up and down staircases all day for a week at one point.
Sure.
And he's like, it's very physical, carrying like sheets of drywall, right? It's not just empty-handed, you know.
Yep.
And so very, you know, just so very physically demanding. And he's like, so I'm tired, but it's not as exhausting as it was.
Yeah.
You know, you still have a bit of energy at the end of the day that, you know, you go back to your hotel, whatever, you're not just laid out, that's it. You know, you can stay up. Sometimes the guys will go to the restaurant because there is a restaurant there, and they'll all eat together, and you have energy to go with them and sit down and not just want to go and collapse in your hotel room.
Right. Right.
You know, and he comes home then, and it's not just sleep. He was a napper, a big time napper. I think he might take one nap on a Saturday, maybe every month now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, he barely naps. Not that naps are bad. It's just
If you don't
3-hour
need them,
naps.
you get more time with your family.
Yeah.
And it was 3-hour naps, Saturday and Sunday, right in the middle of the day, you know, because you're just so tired.
Sure.
That doesn't happen really anymore either.
That's phenomenal. That's super cool. That's great. Okay, so with you, just to make sure we covered all the big steps. So there was your gut health, there's the energy, there's the fatigue. You said the mommy pouch went away. How much exactly do you think it's gone down? Like what was the amount of weight that came down, the inflammation, all that kind of stuff?
So about 10 pounds is what I went down. And I still wear the same size, like obviously like shirts or whatever, but it's the belly, right? Before the shirt might be tighter fit. Now it's loose off my belly. And then pants around where I would notice. So I went from a medium to a small. And they're not tight around either. Like it depends on the make of your clothes, obviously, but
Sure.
they're not super tight. Like around, like when after eating something, they're not getting super tight because you get this extra bloat and just sitting down, you know, there's no discomfort. But for the mommy pooch, something I did want to mention, I call it the mommy pooch, was every time I would go to sleep at night after having kids, only after having kids, whenever I would lay on my side at night, after about a minute, my stomach would feel so weird. It wouldn't be pain. It would feel weird. It felt like it was empty. I say my stomach. I don't mean my actual stomach. I mean my gut. Like gut area. My belly would feel it felt like it was empty. And it was discomfort, not pain. It was discomfort, and it felt weird to the point that I don't know what it was. I would just feel grossed out. So I'd either have to roll over onto my back or lay on my belly seemed to be fine, or prop a pillow up under. Like when you're pregnant, you want to prop a little pillow there. And then it would feel normal by just supporting it somehow. And I had no clue what it was. And they say that can happen right after you have a baby. But I'm talking, my daughter is my youngest and she's 6.5. Why am I still dealing with this 6.5 years later? I don't understand.
Right.
And I didn't sign on for that, but it just went away. So I don't have that feeling at all anymore.
That's super cool.
Very cool.
That's super cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. Okay, well, that was a lot. We don't want to take up your entire day. You are a mother, so let's just finish off with just some quick rapid fire questions, and then we'll close out. And thank you for being such
very much.
an awesome client, an awesome friend, and for coming on here and sharing your story. Because
truly beautiful person.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning, like I can't imagine anybody who has been through some of the stuff that you guys went through, seeing where you're at now, to not get hope and inspiration for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So first question, okay, what to you was the funnest part of being in the academy? Like what's a memory or a moment you're like, this is actually fun for me. I'm enjoying this, not just here because I want to lose my mommy pouch.
I'm going to go to a very specific moment. It's because I'm fortunate enough to live close. So when we had that we did our meeting at that cafe, that bakery in
Yep.
Chelsea,
Yep.
Oh,
where we all died laughing, and
Yep.
like we're
to
still
the
alive
point,
now, but you know.
Yeah, exactly.
to the point where the two men, my husband and Justin, were crying laughing, and
Yeah.
us women had more composure, and that was like that was amazing.
Beautiful.
That was
Beautiful.
so awesome.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
A joke was made and it was very funny.
Oh yeah,
And
which we will not
yes.
repeat. It's an
No.
inside joke only.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, I would have to agree. That was great. Awesome. Okay, what's one thing that you've learned in the academy since you joined? It could be health related, could be anything. But what's one thing that you've learned that you don't think you will ever forget? Like we don't ever have to remind you ever one time, and just it's locked in no matter what.
Simplicity and consistency will equal results. Was that it?
That's so awesome.
Nice.
That was probably because I repeated that so many times.
Yeah.
But it only clued in about 5 months into the program. That's when it clued in. They're giving it to me so simply, and I can keep this. If I can't keep it, we made a little arrangements. If it was something I couldn't keep consistent,
Right.
we made a little change.
Sure.
And once it became consistent, and look, there's results.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Now that you have completed the academy, you've officially graduated and all those things, what would you say it's worth? Like if you had to start over again, like what would you pay to do what you've done now that you know what to expect and you've already done it and you know how it feels and all those kinds of things? Like what do you think the value is?
Like compared or just
No, just
like
in general.
No, like in general. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you guys, like for what I paid, I feel like you guys gave and you're still giving. We're still, now here we are doing more, you know? I feel like
Right.
you guys are still giving. You guys were so available. So I like it's worth what you paid, right? Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get, you know, if you're gonna buy a cheap shirt at, and here it's Giant Tiger, and then if you're gonna go and you're gonna pay quality, you're going to get the quality compared to the $3 shirt. You know what I mean? And it's quality what you guys are providing, you know?
Awesome.
So you're going to pay, it's I feel you guys did an amazing job, and the price for what you guys are giving, you guys are giving more to us than even what I feel like we paid. We're continuing.
Yeah.
Because we're continuing, right? Like
Right.
friendships, and you guys are still available, you know, if I call and I'm like, Amanda has another rash, you know? You know?
sure,
Or
for
no,
sure.
oh no, Henry the hemorrhoid is appearing because we nicknamed him.
Oh,
Yep.
brother.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Awesome.
You guys
Awesome,
still make
awesome.
yourselves available. Or if I send you a little text, you guys are still there.
Well, we definitely do our best. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Okay. And just to close out, do you have any advice or any words, or like, is there any one thing from your story that you think people should really take home and just like, hey, this is the main point here, or like any last words that you want to say to anybody watching, just to sort of, help them, to encourage them, or just something that was really important or impactful for you?
It's not as difficult as you think it's going to be. The way that you guys have laid it all out, how you guys bring everything across. People think that getting healthy is like a big job, these hours in the gym and all this,
Right.
huge, crazy diet change of whatever, It's not as hard as people think. And just because you might not feel unwell or you think something is normal, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy or that you're not suffering with something, right? Constipated was told it's normal, but it's not.
Yeah.
And who knows what could have happened if I didn't nip it in the butt when I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For sure. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time. Again, Laura, you've been amazing. And we're really happy we came on today with you, and you got to tell your story and everything. And it was a wonderful experience working with you. And it's just a lot of even great days further. Okay, you close off that part.
No,
I
no,
missed
you're
I
good.
missed
Okay,
it.
go
No,
on.
I
You're
missed
good. No,
it.
you're good.
I was like, I was just saying
we'll
thank
fix it
you.
in editing. You're
We'll
good.
fix it in
Yeah, you're
editing,
good.
but no, you say something.
No, ladies
okay, all right,
first.
cool. Sorry, Drew.
I think this is the best ending ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It goes like all of our calls,
Exactly.
where we all say horrible jokes.
Oh, totally.
All right, and yeah, just thank you again for just being such a rock star, beautiful person.
Totally.
And yeah, just this really is possible for so many people.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've just really, really shown that, you know, that regardless of what you've been told or what you've been through or, you know, what you can do, that you can do it, that anyone can do it. They really can. And that, you know, being healthy is a human right, and we all deserve to be healthy. We all should be healthy.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, baby.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Laura. Have a phenomenal day. We love you guys. We'll see y'all soon. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.